I think he's a wonderful guy. I haven't spoken to him much, but I think Elon is a wonderful guy, and I know he's going to do well always. He's a smart guy, and he actually went and campaigned with me, and this and that. But he got a little bit upset, and that wasn't appropriate.
Why did he get upset? He just wasn't getting what he wanted?
Look, the electric vehicle mandate, the EV mandate is a tough thing for him, I would think. I don't want everybody to have an electric car.
All seemed well Sunday between the world's richest man and the world's most powerful man, despite Elon Musk calling the big, beautiful bill political suicide for the GOP and destructive for America. But the big, beautiful brawl is back, and in some cases, bigger than ever. Hey, everybody, Dave Briggs here, alongside the founding editor of Mediaite, Colby Hall. And Colby, this thing was literally at rest, and now it has exploded, though you wouldn't know that if you're a Fox News viewer, where I haven't seen a minute of coverage all day on Tuesday. And what really ignited this thing, as you know, Colby, was Elon Musk threatening to primary every member of Congress who, quote, campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their heads in shame. And he added, if they lose their primary next year, it's the last thing I do on this earth. Now, we know he's going to be in Mars at some point, but it is the last thing he's going to do on Earth. What are your thoughts about the escalation here?
Well, it escalated quickly. I mean, if you were watching Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo and you saw Trump say that clip, you would think like, oh, well, they seem to be fine. And mostly Elon Musk has been on social media talking about Tesla, trying to, reinvigorate a brand that had been sullied by his Doge stuff and all this animus that he received from progressives that were really, protesting and firebombing his dealerships. But you thought, if you watch that, everything's chill. And then this bill, the CBO came out and said that this big, beautiful spending bill that's Trump's, magna opus for his first year of in his second term is going to add $5 trillion. CBO may not be exactly right, but that's a lot of money. And Elon went scorched earth, and it got worse from there.
And you are seeing coverage on CNN and MSNBC, presumably not on Fox, because they are all in on the Trump agenda and, of course, this big, beautiful bill and don't want to see Republicans primary. But was interesting, Elon took it to another level by saying it's obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt, to your point, by $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. And that was truly in Trumpian language, and he knew it. He retweeted a poll about should we have a third party, an independent party, and 80% of the more than 6 million people said yes. I think most of us are in agreement. He says time for a new political party that cares about the people. But then it continued to escalate because Trump on Truth Social really, I think, ignited it again. He said no more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production. Now, that sounds blatantly communist, by the way, but our country would save a fortune. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this big money to be saved. Elon responded, I am literally saying, Mr. Trump, cut it all now. He is daring the president to cut all federal spending and subsidies on Tesla and SpaceX. And Colby, I think the real next shot in this war came from President Trump on the White House lawn before leaving for the, I think, Alligator Alcatraz, it is, right. Was asked about the possibility of deporting Elon Musk.
Oh, I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out. The hydrogen cars, and when they blow up, it's serious. They find you 5 blocks away. It's that good.
Okay, what do you make of the notion that he wants Elon to get doged and is open to potentially deporting arguably the most influential business person, save for Jeff Bezos, on the planet?
Well, I just wrote a column about this, and I fear that this is going to be mutually assured destruction of both people. Like, honestly, you have to go back and realize that this symbiotic relationship between Musk and Trump was one that they both benefited from. But I heard someone say, and I can't remember who it was, that they each thought that they had bought the other out, right? Like that they were controlling the other. As it turns out, I think Trump sort of won that battle. And Trump loves a good conflict. He's never going to shy away. When Musk started tweeting this stuff, criticizing the big beautiful bill, Trump kept his powder dry. And then he realized that Musk was going to keep on going. And so he's never one to sit idly by. So he went big. He said, he basically threatened what, quote, the Doge monster to eat him up. And Evelyn suggested that, he's South African, right? He's a naturalized citizen. Under ICE until a moment, we are taking away naturalized citizens. So I doubt that will happen, but he's even throwing out like sort of this red meat that, if he doesn't like it here, he can live. And by the way, if you look at the amount of money that Musk has made, a ton of it is at the benefit of these government subsidies, right? This rocket, SpaceX is a huge part of it. The EV mandates are a big part of it. It's not entirely that. He's a mega wealthy, huge, big ego guy. But this is basically Trump shooting, sort of cannons across the bow to say, dude, step back, step in line, because he's got a ton to lose, right? If he knows that Elon Musk is going to bankroll to the same degree, he put forth $100 million for the coming midterms to help Trump's campaign, $300 million roughly to get Trump elected in 2020. If he puts that up for, to support primary candidates, I think that would largely hurt the Republican Party. Well, then it's not difficult to see a Democrat run Congress, which would be a massive problem for Trump. There'd be investigations, there'd be impeachment. So I'm not sure how this runs down, but what you're seeing, right, unless the cooler heads prevail, I think these two could probably, they have both big egos, both are stubborn. They could both take each other out, right, if they're not careful.
Yeah, I do really want to get to the financial implications in a minute, but as for the political implications, look, Donald Trump would not have been elected if it weren't for Elon Musk. I firmly believe that, and just about every political analyst would agree with that. He changed the game for him. He brought young men. He gave energy to a campaign literally had none. Now, maybe it was awkward energy as Elon bounced around the stage, but Elon has not yet spent a dime towards the midterms. He committed $100 million to help Trump, but he hasn't spent it. He hasn't donated it. So if that $100 million goes for primary challenges and Democrats to take out Republicans, there's no question that can change the game. Though right now, Kalshi has Democrats' chance of taking the House at 75%. I don't believe that. I think Republicans are actually in much better standing. But Elon could change that game. But to your point, investigations of Trump's crypto grift could really cost him dearly. And that's what Trump is truly after, is making money from this thing. Let's just be frank about it. They will, without a doubt, impeach him for a third time. But ultimately, I do think Elon needs Trump more than Trump needs Elon. Do you agree with that dichotomy?
Well, I think Trump has enjoyed the best year or week or two of his political career. I think he's riding high and he's feeling no pain, right? Maybe there's a little bit of hubris involved. But I do think, yes, he controls MAGA. I think without his leadership, MAGA is way more fragile. And in fact, I think 51% of the vote went for Trump in 2024. It's a pretty fragile coalition if you look at it. It was exposed during the Israel-Iran conflict, where you saw America First isolationists battling with the pro-Israel traditional neocons interventionists. And the latter won, and Trump is coming out stronger. But a big part of that coalition is Elon Musk's tech bro, Silicon Valley libertarian set, who you take that away, you don't have 51% anymore.
While we're talking about the political implications of 2026, I want to go a bit beyond that to 2028 and the Porky Pig Party, which is just a beautiful thing, quite frankly, because of how silly it is, quite frankly. But Elon threatening to form a third party is something we've all talked about for a decade,
Right.
20, 30 years, quite frankly, but more than ever right now. And it's in part because the extremes dominate. Because as John Meacham said on the Daily Show, he thinks the pendulum will actually swing to an AOC presidency. The time is right more than ever for an independent third party if they can get ballot access. And you know, my pick for president is, of course, Mark Cuban, because he don't give a damn. He has interesting political beliefs that are kind of center left. But I think that could really make the difference in this country right now in this moment in which we're all so sick of the extremes. Is Elon the right man to front it? Financially, yes. Politically, I don't know.
Well, I think, if you look at like the last big populist movement before MAGA, it was the Bernie Bros, right? And a lot of people have said that the political spectrum isn't a flat line, it's more of a circle. And the Trump populist movement, they were sort of like had their backs facing the Republican Party. The Bernie Bro populist movement had their backs facing the sort of the left-wing Democratic point of view. If they turned around and if they could get their act together, if you were to combine the populist movement from both sort of the Bernie Bros and some of the Trump supporter MAGA side, and get away the culture wars, which easier said than done, you have Elon Musk fund that, and if you have a sort of a smart, successful, kind of dispassionate, normal person leading that, I think, people are so sick of status quo, the gerontocracy electing 85, 90-year-olds to just keep status quo. I mean, Mamdani says some really crazy, unnerving things, but I think part of the reason why he got elected was not because people liked him. They just hated the other candidates and Cuomo and all those others. When they really look at his policies, they're like, oh yeah, that's kind of freaky. So I'm not saying Mamdani's the guy, but like if you were to bring in Mark Cuban, who's familiar on TV, he's successful. He sort of reminds me of Bloomberg. He's so wealthy that you can't buy him out, and he's willing to do the right thing. So, who wants you to think that third parties will never be successable? Democrats and Republicans, right? And it does feel inevitable, right? Is this the time? It depends upon the frontman. I think Cuban's you're probably the top of your list. And if Musk is serious about this and doesn't get deported to South Africa, I don't know. It could be a really fascinating 2028.
I am here for the America Party. I do quickly want to hit on, I know we focus on the politics here on Mediaite, but the financial implications are interesting. Back to your point about Trump threatening to cut him off. I don't know what he's talking about with electric car production. You cannot control that, Mr. President, unless we are a communist country. As for the financial benefits that Elon receives from the government, they are massive. Between Tesla and SpaceX, some $38 million in either federal funding or subsidies. $38 billion. That is an astounding amount of money if, in fact, it is cut off. Does Elon really care? I don't know, but his stock is down 20% this year. That equates to $250 billion lost by investors. Elon Musk is $8 billion poorer today alone because of this feud, because the stock dropped about 5%. He lost $8 billion. Just think about that. But now on the flip side, there is no replacement, Colby, for SpaceX. All due respect to Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin, we've got two astronauts from Boeing who would still be stuck in space if it weren't for Elon Musk. What he's built, I don't think there is a replacement for the federal government. Set aside Tesla. SpaceX doesn't have a close second place. And I really think what he's done with Wi-Fi around the globe with Starlink, again, nothing comes close to doing what he's built around the world. And so can the government entirely cut off Elon Musk? I don't think so. But again, Elon will hurt more.
I don't know if they could cut him off. I think they could say that it's a monopoly. They could say that, he has too much power over the internet. I think they could claim it's. I think that they could sort of take some control and power away from him by over-regulating that. And what's weird is that flies in the face of every sort of free market, sort of traditional conservative point of view. But I think we've learned anything about Trump is that he doesn't care about that, right? Like it's a means to an end. And if you know, if he's going to end up being, I mean, it's sort of a socialist big government play. But you know, it wouldn't surprise me in the least to see Trump, you know, he plays dirty, right? That's why he wins. And would he take control of SpaceX in the interest of, you know, if you can imagine it and it makes him more powerful, then sure, why not? So this is why I think Elon Musk needs to be very, very careful, because you don't want to get in, you know, there's this old adage, you never want to get in a fight with a guy that's holding the microphone because you'll never lose. Well, who holds the biggest microphone right now? You have Trump in the White House in the press conference. Then you have Elon Musk, you know, on social media, on X, Twitter, and controlling that algorithm. It's literally that metaphor of the sort of like, you know, unmovable object versus the unstoppable force. I mean, when this came up earlier, Trump won, and I still think he's the heavy favorite here. But I think Musk could do a lot of damage if Trump's not careful.
Three things going for him. One, I think Starlink is the best and most effective, influential thing Elon Musk has ever built. Not yet.
Right.
But in the future. Number two, that megaphone is massive, 200 million followers, and he controls what I still think is the biggest megaphone in the world, which is still X, formerly Twitter. And third, Elon don't give a shit about wealth. I mean, look, he's lost a lot. He's gained a lot. He's worth $400 billion. He doesn't flaunt his wealth, i.e. Jeff Bezos. He doesn't go buy big yachts and invite Tom Brady and all these people who aren't his friends. He doesn't care. He sleeps on couches. So that's a true advantage to Elon Musk. But you said something that triggered me, and it's Trump fights dirty. Elon fought really dirty in the first round when he went right for the jugular, which was the Epstein files, acknowledging what we all believe to be true, that Trump is in them. But then he deleted that tweet and he apologized. I can't help but wonder if that reemerges. Do you think it will?
I think this is where it'll get dirty. I think he'll bring that up. And Trump has floated a lot of like, well, Musk is troubled and, you know, suggesting he's got drug problems. This is where I think they're both it's going to get uglier before it gets better. And this is where, you know, they've benefited by being partners, right? And when they got ugly, it's going to get worse. So, you know, that cat's out of the bag. And by the way, when Elon Musk apologized, he very carefully said, I apologize for some of the posts that I made about Trump. My question was like, which of them? Like some of them you didn't apologize for, some of them you stand by. So I think this drama, you know, you got to pop some popcorn. You got to get your popcorn back because this is going to be something that's going to keep us interested, I think, over the course of the summer.
I'm going to go pop some popcorn. He's apologized, I think, for the two, that Trump should be impeached and that he's in the Epstein files.
Right.
That will be interesting. We'd like to hear from you in the comments here. Do you think this will go back to the Epstein files? And who do you think has the upper hand? I am going to go pop some popcorn because I'm going to enjoy this fight, my friend.
Good stuff.